just been fine. Okay, let's go with this amount and go not to over deliberate on that. And but so far they had some um, they had the idea on what to discuss and what to put in place. Just to put some things in context, like their project scope can be a bit more definite. Project scope should be definite in the sense that this is a project. The project you are providing um, a how will I put it now? If, for example, you are providing 2 buckets of water, it's 2 buckets, not you are providing buckets of water. It has to be defined. Also, your objective is what you want to achieve. So, for example, you want to provide 2 steel buckets of water. The type of steel bucket, the type of water, is it water recognition water or river water or tap water? Then your goal should be the results you want. If I provide these 2 buckets of water, for example, what is it meant to do? Is it meant to help to clean the house? Is it meant to help to clean the windows? Just to give the goal. Then like I said about budgets, I noticed that they discuss a lot something about budgets and timelines. We talk about 6 months or 1 year. It doesn't matter. Projects can be There are some projects that you can even do in 4 weeks. There are some that you can do in 2 years, and it can be the same project. It just depends on the resources that are going to be put in that project. So that could have just been sped up um, this, but so far we're still on the project charter before we would end the discussion. So yes, so far I would give him my assessments. They did well. The deliberation was okay, but I think they took a lot of time over analyzing certain things.
Thank you very much, Heidi, for your feedback. So maybe we'll let the student ask questions at some point regarding, setting this thing. And I like what you said about an estimate of the budget would have just been, even even in the workplace sometimes, as in you could do an estimate quick, depending on, because the truth is sometimes you are in a space and you're not very certain of this thing. 2 things they could have also done is maybe go online to go and, ask AI or whatever and say, this kind of project, XYZ, give us a rough estimate of this thing. An estimate would have just been fine. Maybe even ask for the estimate in dollars and you convert it to your Naira or whatever local currency it is. Because in my experience, sometimes when you go and ask such a question of this thing and you ask them in Naira, they underestimate because they Naira is valued. So if I was to ask for estimate of anything, I would ask for estimates in dollars. Then I convert the dollar to Naira so that that thing will not go and mess me up in terms of estimates. So thank you for that feedback regarding, and I like that they deliberated, because at the end of the day, it's important that these discussions are going on. How they work together is very, very key for us in the school. Like using like the entire teamwork should really be demonstrated. Yeah, so thank you very much. So Zainab, do you have extra feedback in the project management room? Zainab, you can unmute yourself, please.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Good day for people that you're not in the evening. So, like Kayode said, and I think this feedback was also given last week, where you need to prioritize what's most important to you in the scope of things. So you're not dwelling too much on things that you should not be dwelling too much on. So, for example, last week we were able to finish, start to finish, cover the entire questions that were asked. But for this week, I'm not sure we're able to complete that to the end. That's the communication part. And if, as a project manager, it's important that you're able to manage budgets, be able to manage time, able to manage your stakeholders. So it starts from here. It starts from such activities. Okay, this is what we have to do. And one thing, I know there's someone that, that cheerleads the conversation, but it'd be nice to have it defined. Okay, this is the person, this is the moderator of this, and that's where the leadership traits starts to come into play. Okay, this person is going to be moderating, and that way person can keep the session a bit more coordinated. So, okay, we are spending too much time on this. Can we just move on to the next thing? Can we deliberate on this more? This is most important for us, and I think we'll do better with this session next week.
Thank you. So, Sakina, Bello, please let's move on to the product group feedback on their work, on how they work, or the main work itself. Let's hear from you.
Hi, everybody. Good day, everyone.
Good evening.
And yeah, to my product roommates. So there was a very significant, would I say, what's the word now? Improvement. Yes, there was an improvement from last week's hurdle, because I was even about to tell them, the feedback session was just starting when we had to close out the room. But yes, there was an improvement in their communication this time around. They collaborated better. And piggyback on what Zainab said, we had 2 people that were coordinating properly. And I actually told them that showed very, very good leadership, because they were able to effectively steer the group onto what was needed to be done. So I was just telling them that while they were able to, the first task was to give a 14-day action plan. They were able to do that. I didn't feel like they were connecting, or they had effectively connected to what the end users of this e-learning platform was going to be. So it felt more like they were being clinical, and that's a role that needs to be handled by the technical people that you're going to be working with on the team. Your project manager, if the organization has that, your UI UX designers, and your software engineers. You as the product manager, you have to speak for your end users, while also ensuring that you're putting yourself in their place. Like, okay, as a user of this e-learning platform, what's going to be my pain point? So all of that has to be captured in what you're doing. The second question being the milestones and all of that. It wasn't captured properly. They were supposed to give different milestones, the tools that are going to be used for these milestones, and the metrics to measure these milestones, how they're going to be concluded. So it just felt more like, okay, they were, okay, what's the question? Okay, this is the answer. What's the question? Okay, this is the answer. More kind of ChatGPT like. As much as ChatGPT is a tool that you're going to use, you have to ensure that you are remembering the human factor. You're not building this for a robot. You're not building this for people, or you're not submitting a thesis. You're working with something people are going to use every day. So if you're just telling them, oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to build that, we're going to give them the must-haves, the should-haves, okay, but how does it affect the end user? So that was majorly what I was trying to explain to them as my feedback for this week. Valiant effort. They did better than last week, I would say, and there's definitely room for improvement in the stuff that I just mentioned. So yeah, that's my feedback for this week.
Thank you so much, Sakina. I know I was just smiling. That is the feedback I was giving the content team before the breakout room. Like the exact, as I'm sure content team people, they are laughing, like, did this will have a meeting or something to, the feedback, as in, I'm sure my content team, like, they are here. I was like telling them that it's good to use AI, but let's humanize it. Let's make it relatable. Like I said, when you're using AI to define structure of like the content calendar, great, it saves you time. I said, but when it now generates topic for you, like it generates a topic, like he has given you structure, he has given you guideline on, maybe whatever it is for your audience, they're giving you, I say you are the one that then takes yourself back to, if I was this person, will this speak to me? That was exactly what I was telling the content team. Like I said, because at the end of the day, it is human beings that are going to read your content and it must connect. So when you said to say around, like, let me say, it's good to use it, I was just smiling because I'm like, oh God, so can I just say the exact same thing I just said now around, like, I told them, I said, all I could hear in your room was, I gave ChatGPT this, I gave ChatGPT this. Like, where were you? Where was your input? Where was your input as a content creator? in this whole thing. It was very clinical. That was the word. It was very clinical, and that is what he said. It was not it was very clinical, like but like it was just not connecting. And at the end of the day, I think as a general feedback, especially for those in the content, because there are sometimes I always tell people that are taking content creation program to go and take product management. You know why? I said maybe sometimes it helps you to develop content from a place of the person that developed the product, because I'm believing that a product person would have learned how to do research into the customer. As you would have done the research, find out who all the design thinking, empathize, or where is he paining you? I said, because when you understand where it is paining the customer, you can create better content for that customer that will make them buy. So typically in the product development, this thing, you see the marketing team must be there because you must have gotten information from that product team that went to market to do research and empathize. Like, what is the pain? So when it is time to market that product, you are not just speaking jargons. You are not speaking, buy your this thing, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Because you're not connecting with me. The marketing message is not connecting with me. So I think for both like the content and the product, this thing, people have similarities in terms of being able to connect with the end user. That is what we call end user in the product space, right? It is important because a product will not use itself. It is human being that will use it. Like it is a specific group of people that will use it. So from the content department to ask yourself, this content, I'm not delivering it to my clients so they can say I delivered a content calendar. As check, when they give you an offer letter, and they say, check, did you deliver 5 content this week? Check, did you deliver 5 video this week? Check. At the end of the day, employers employ you because you contribute to the bottom line. You contribute to the bottom line of that organization. So I do not care if you created 30 content in a month and they look pretty. At the end of the day, that content, and this is my feedback to the content team, officially, I do not care the pretty looking content calendar. That is just a process. The content calendar, the structure of it is to help, is to help your professionalism and help you communicate to your clients that, you know how to structure content. The content inside the content calendar, the topics, those things are the ones that determines if your employer is going to fire you the next month. Because if the content are not contenting, they are not connecting with the user. Forget all your pretty Airtable, your pretty mirror, your pretty Gantt, whatever that you use to present it to the client or your employer. Because at the end of the day, by the time I take the insights from social media and I'm like, okay, you created content and not one person even said, oh, so what are you talking about? Or, no engagement, nothing. It didn't bring around conversation. It didn't generate conversations around what I want to sell. So will you say you did your job? Because the bottom line is, what is the purpose of your job? The purpose of your job is to help me market this product. True content. So if it is not delivered, and how do you fix that as a content person? Step back and ask yourself, if I had this problem, if I was the owner of this problem, this particular thing I want to sell to the market, and I keep emphasizing it, it's a solution to someone's problem. If I was the owner of this problem, what will I go to Google to go and ask? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. If I've been hearing that people are earning money online, I can become a virtual assistant to this thing. If that was me, like, I don't know anything, I'm like, if I wanted to go and ask Google a question, what will I ask Google? I'll probably ask Google, because maybe it's my friend has told me that they're earning as a virtual assistant, right? As I say, Google, how do I become a virtual assistant? That is a kind of typical question I would ask Google if I was owner of a problem. I would say, is it true I can earn money online as a virtual assistant? That is how I would ask it. So if your content is not giving me those kind of titles of how will a human being ask it? Simple. If it is not in that manner, then your content is not contenting. No matter how the structure and the jargons, forget all that. The human side must always remain. So that is my end of feedback for the content team. So work on that and keep, if you don't remember anything from this, remember this one thing. How will a human being go and ask Google about this particular topic? A human being that has a problem, how would they ask Google? If you can remember that, then your content will always work. So in that note, we'll give room for questions. We have 15 minutes for questions from the participants. So you can now ask Sakina, Zainab, Kayode, and myself the questions you have. So just if you'd like to ask, use the raise hand button so we can know the arrangement and we can then take some questions before we go. Is anyone raising their hand? Anybody raising their hand for questions? Stella Ajayi, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Ma. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I have two questions. Though the man that spoke for project management, he said something around my first question, but I need more clarification. I noticed that it's like the timeline for projects, it's always long. Is it for it to be flexible so that the delivery will be good? Then the second question is, for you to be a project management manager, say for example, maybe for under building, under tech, must you, just like the guy said he's under, I think he's under construction. Is it necessary that you must have worked under that department for some time to understand it before you can manage a project? Is that a requirement? I think these are my two questions.
So the first question, can you re-ask it? Because I'm not sure I'm clear on that question, the first one.
Okay, I noticed that projects, it's like they always give, the timeline for completion is always long. Not short time that you don't have time to like do what you're supposed to. Is it normal for projects? And is it because they want the project to be delivered like in a good condition, not being rushed and having excuses?
Okay. That's clearer. So please, Kayode, can you take this question, please?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so I wouldn't say projects timeline are usually long because of they want to conclude. Maybe they just want to make sure that they finish at a certain time. Construction of anything takes a lot of time. The whole process of construction is a bit tedious. For you to, for example, I'll give an example, to build just a bungalow, you need to first start with the foundation. Before you start the foundation, you have to excavate the soil. Excavation takes time before you bring in the materials for the foundation. Before you start to install it, is a process that takes time. That's why in most cases you see building construction, you see like 3 years, 4 years, because it's a process. And that 3-4 years that we're talking about is a very tight schedule. That from the one you're hitting the ground running and making sure that you meet that timeline. So for construction, like you said, it's not that we have a long timeline because of we just want to meet up the targets. It's a tedious activity usually, so which takes a lot of resources, a lot of manpower, a lot of technicalities before you can actually achieve it. That's just the reason why. I think you asked about
second question about that. Must you have degree or something like
yes, a kind of experience in that industry? I would say it's a good advantage. In construction, for example, it's always good to have a knowledge on what because when you're in construction, for example, you're a project manager, you have a structural engineer under you, have a site engineer under you, you have other disciplines under you. And in most cases, you are the one managing resources, managing timeline. So one can come to you, even in tech, for me to finish up this app or for me to carry out this task, I need 2 weeks. But your experience, you may say, no, this can be done in 1 week. Why are you trying to get 2 weeks? It gives another advantage. It doesn't mean you can't still carry out the job, just that you may not be as effective. Let me put it that way. As effective as someone that understands the background and knows the nuances and knows how to quickly manage situations. But you can still be a project manager for a construction company. You can be a project manager for a tech company. But because of that background of the knowledge behind it, there are some things that will come up. Someone can come and say, "Oh, we need 2,000 naira for a certain tax, and which is actually 1,000." You may not have the background. Although, yes, you can go and research, but in some cases, you may be under pressure to approve it. And at the end of the day, you later find out that it wasn't necessary. So that's what I would say. It doesn't pull you out from being a project manager for those industries, but it's an added advantage.
Kayode for that input, and I was just smiling. Trust me, you know how they will tell an entrepreneur that please make sure that there's nothing that you want to delegate that you don't know. You might not be an expert in it, but make sure that, or else, like, trust me, there are some things that will go wrong that shouldn't go wrong if you probably had the knowledge around that thing. And firsthand, I can tell you for free, the first website I built in 2019, when I say I built, I gave someone to build for my fashion this thing. I can't forget, I paid 250K for the website in 2019. And it was, oh, no. It was like, why? I didn't know jack about tech. And the guy was telling me, how many pages website will you be putting this? And I just say, just do the one that is good. Do the, you know, that kind of stuff. And I realized that by the time I then went to pay for an online course of $700 to learn about tech and everything. So when it was time, I think 2020, after I'd learned about all those technical jargons, and I wanted to be, I could ask questions. And guess what? I got a better website for half the price of what I paid the first time. So I know firsthand as in how painful it can be when you have no knowledge around what you are trying to run in terms of that industry. So it may do you some good to actually pick up knowledge and experience in that area. So Zainab, do you have any quick additions before we go to Faiza's question?
Okay, so the question sounded like me in my career.
Yeah.
I have a background in microbiology, and every single time I meet anyone, the first question they ask me, what are you doing here in construction? Well, I found myself here, or fate brought me here. But in the real sense, it will do you a very huge advantage for you to have an idea. And one of the things that helped me when I joined my organization is that I had like a head start with the MDCU of the organization. So basically, something that I should have probably learned in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, I learned it in 6 months. So start to finish of what is supposed to happen, I learned in 6 months, and it helped me. So and if you are in a small organization where you're a project manager in a small organization or a medium-sized organization where a lot of things fall on your table in terms of quantity surveying, prices and all that, then it's better off you have it's a great advantage that you have idea of what they are saying in the organization. But if you're in a very huge organization where you have a QS, you have this, you have so many sub departments, they have money to throw all over the place. That way, your involvement in very specific tasks now becomes a lot lesser, and your focus is now more on the general scope of the project. Or like when you're in a small organization where, like Kayode said, you have structural engineers under you and you don't want to have an idea, there's no how you can be very effective in such a space.
So your overall this thing for maybe project managers are just transitioning into this would be they go and start from a place where they will have to do a lot of like, let me say, you have to do, like, let them dump the work on you so that you can learn. As in, you need to learn about, don't just streamline to, I just want to be a project manager and sit at the top. And like, you need to use that small organization to, learn ropes so that it helps you to have you have to just a little bit experience in something aside project management, because then when somebody is telling you about the thickness of cement, you have jack. No, you are already a civil engineer, you're not the thing, but at least you have to go and learn. Okay, there's something it's called thickness, millimeters, and all those technical language that they use. You will learn it, and you will grow from there. So Faiza, please ask your question.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I wanted to ask our mentor, Ms. Sakina, if there were any parts of our work where she felt we were close to connecting, but we missed the mark. And what would she say was the most disconnected part, and how can we fix it? If she could share some examples of how we can incorporate the human factor more effectively in our approach.
Okay, Sakina, please.
All right, Faiza, thank you so much for that question. Okay, so it's more like how you're, for example, some of your milestones, I probably can't remember all of them off my head, but I didn't see anywhere where you explained your user journey properly. One of the most important things for your product when you're putting in all your all your features, even before you start describing them using the techniques you mentioned, the Moscow and the RISE technique, you have to ensure that your user journey has some specific features. I'm trying to remember. I think is it the invest feature? Is it is your user journey, does it cover these three roles? What is the user role? What's the goal of your user? Do you understand? What action does your user need to take to achieve their goal? In this case, the goal is, okay, you want them to use your e-learning platform, right? So while you were defining your vision as a product manager, your vision just encompassed how you want to create this e-learning platform for the underskilled Nigerians, right? But what's your user's point of view for this e-learning platform? That's one. What's the benefit? Or okay, before the benefit, what's the action? What action does your user need to take to ensure that their goal is met? You have to outline what specific actions they will take, right? Make sure you keep it simple. You avoid technical jargon when you're explaining what it is you need your user to do. What's the benefit? You have to explain how the feature would also improve your user's experience on the platform. What's the benefit? You have to quantify it as well, because it is this quantity, this analysis, this data that you're going to give to your other stakeholders. Your major stakeholder is your user, yes, but your business stakeholders as well, they need the quantifiable metrics. So you have to ensure that my user story is relatable. One, it is clear, it is efficient, it is basically straightforward. For example, you're trying to get maybe a farmer to use your e-learning platform. What's going to be the user journey in that case? How are you going to make him use it? He's young, right? But you want him to become employable. You want him to become, you want him to learn. In fact, you even want him to come on your e-learning platform and learn how to use some tools, the benefits of using fertilizers or some particular, things you want him to learn on your e-learning. That's where your content creation also comes in. You're going to work with a content manager, but you are the one that will tell the content manager what you want your e-learning platform to encompass. Like what do you want it to have? And you can't do that without being in the head of your end user. So while you and your team members were listing out everything, why I said it felt clinical was that you were just saying, okay, number one, they said we should write a 14-day plan. Okay, let's do day 1 to 2 is what we'll do. Day 2 to 3, day 4 to 5. You were just listing them out. There wasn't really any. You were not giving. You were not speaking like, okay, I am creating something. Even your timelines, you didn't really give. When you got to the point of the milestones, you didn't give time. You didn't give proper timelines. Last week we talked about how you're going to work in sprint. What are the iterations for each level of the feature you're building, how long would these milestones take to be overcome? How long will it take me to complete this? Even the tools, what tools are you using as a product manager? Are you using Jira? What are you doing? How are you going to communicate all of this to your stakeholders internally, all your stakeholders, my technical personnel, my UI UX designer, my accountants, everybody, your external stakeholders as well, and then your end users. So all of that needs to be defined in your process. You're not just ticking off things to do in your check. Okay. So Faiza, I'm not sure if that helped to create a clearer view of what I was trying to.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Amina, please go ahead. Somebody was speaking, so I was trying to mute them. Amina, your hand is raised. I think that'll be the last question for the evening.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amina, and I just wanted to chip in. I just wanted to add a little to Mrs. Sakina's, because I've been an R&D and a product development in the cosmetic industry. And I want to do what connects me most times with any product I make is always from the goal, the end user. You want to create a persona in the mind of in your head. You want to connect with the end user at the end of the day. So, and the philosophy of that product is very important. So that is how you majorly connect to whatever you're going to create or bring to life. So it always starts from that end. So I don't know, this is just my own little this thing from my own little knowledge.
Thank you very much for that industry addition, Amina. And I think I've given you this feedback before. Don't ever say just or little, because your knowledge is valuable. So language is very key. Like what somebody does not know, what we don't know, we don't know. So there's no way what you have contributed is in this
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for that contribution, Amina, for adding to what Sakina has said. So on that note, I think we are going to round up this session. If you have any other questions, please ask and I always please encourage you to ask any questions you have around technicality. When I say like the industry, ask it here. If you don't ask it here, what we are able to offer you is the support inside the channels, right? When it says support around, oh, this one is a, but when you have any like industry stuff to ask, please ask it in these sessions, because that is why we are here, to answer industry-specific questions. To our facilitators, again, Sakina, thank you so much for showing up here. We do not take not firstly our mentors, they are our mentors actually. We do not take your field knowledge for granted, because last we are all focused on ensuring that people are not just learning, but they are interpreting it into what is required in the industry. There's no point in they will finish learning this theory now, they now get field. There is a total disjoint in how they would implement it. Oh, there's one more hand raised. So, okay, please, can you be fast with this so we can quickly round off this session? I thought we didn't see any hand up again, so I was just going to round up the session. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I wondered, from the project management, from the lessons Mr. Eze gave us on project charter, the samples of the project charter he shared with us were quite detailed. An emphasis on the detail. And I'm wondering, is it how the project charter really should be like? Because we didn't detail our own as much as what he gave us in the class. And I'm wondering whether all that detail is really necessary for a project charter. Thank you.
So the challenge with that is because we are not seeing it. Do you understand? We are not seeing, like, mentors are here, like I mentioned, like as in things specific, like referring to a particular lesson, and this thing may not be this thing. So probably if you had asked, come on, bring it. Oh. So things are specific to this thing. We cannot, the mentor here may not be able to ask regarding, if you are probably sharing your screen right now and saying, this is what we have, should it always be this way? But they are not in the lesson, so it's very hard for them to be able to answer that question. So maybe what's Kayode.
So can I just even
yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you write your project charter per project is actually meant to be quite a detailed document. But in the case, maybe because of the way I felt that you are overanalyzing it, because there's some certain things that you don't have your full information, so there was no point deliberating too much on. But in the certain case, your project charter is a very detailed document that carries a lot of information, from the description, objective, goals, milestones, and what they call it, work breakdown, and there's so many, even your risk, because you need to also state your risk and your risk appetite. Are you accepting the risk? Are you pushing the risk to other stakeholders, or you are just going to mitigate the risk? So many information in your project charter per project. So if you have a proper project, it takes time for you to deliberate on developing your project charter before you commence any project. So
thank you very much. So in summary, what he's trying to tell you is your charter is dependent on the size of the project. Like in summary, like if you have a very, like, let's say the project you have at hand is webinar, like what are you charging? In fact, that one you probably are you just using an agile this thing. But if it is something like maybe what is working on now, like they will work on a big thing that is across maybe 3 years, a big factory that they need to build. What it means is that is going to be a comprehensive, big and long this thing. And I think when Mr. Eze was, of course, he is teaching from his wealth of experience. He works at NIRSA and he's working on the government, in a government establishment where they have huge projects running into billions. So you don't want to spend billions and not charter it well. Like you must be chartering billions well. You cannot be doing it. It's not one of those agile things. At least that is how I understand it. So I think adaptability is key in whatever knowledge you are given, adapting it to the situation of work that you are given. So if, for instance, now I want to do wedding, you now tell me as a project person, you want to go and use 2 months to do charter. So what I don't understand. Wedding that I'm doing in next 6 weeks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what's all that brouhaha, but I am doing charter for a wedding. So it's about the size of the project, really. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, to Kayode, thank you so much for showing up here today. You've added to the learning journey of the students. Zainab, thanks again for showing up. Sakina, thanks for showing up. And to every one of you that showed up that is a student, please note that this may seem a lot in terms of what you are investing time-wise and everything in these sessions now, but the day you get to an interview and you need to really speak around experience, you'll be better off than the people that are not showing up in those workshops. You may be thinking, like, every time we come, we did not do it well, we did not do it well. It is because we are trying to drive for excellence. We are not trying to raise just knowledgeable people, but just skilled people that are able to draw from the experience of mentors who have gone ahead, and they're able to say, when they remember, you get to an interview, and when the client is trying to see if you're a great content creator, beyond the I can do calendar, you are telling the client, oh, I will need to ask you, as when you were developing this your product, as in what was the most questions you were getting asked by people in your DM? I need that to connect with them. They know, oh, yes, your head is correct, because you understand what content should really be like, not just the I'm a content expert on your LinkedIn, and there's all you are going to go and give them is AI and AI. So on that note, Kayode, any parting words for this thing before we go? So we always do this at the end, parting words from the mentor, one by one, and we'll close.
Okay, yes. So it's been an awesome experience. Hopefully would like to do this more often. As we give feedback, we're also learning from.
Thank you. I think you are muted.
And,
Yes,
I
speaking. Okay.
appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Kayode. Sakina, please, any last words for?
Sorry,
Yes, you were muted for a while. Kayode, you are muting and unmuting. I didn't know you were still speaking.
Oh, okay. No, so I'd already concluded when I was speaking.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kayode, for coming, and we appreciate your time. Bello, Sakina, please, parting words before we round the session.
Yeah, just like Mr. Kayode said, it was really nice experiencing that. I also am learning from the students, yes. And I'm actually looking forward to the next time because it's something fun to do. And yeah, I really enjoy these sessions, and I hope that it's as impactful for me as it is for every single person here.
Thank you. Zainab, quick one.
Yeah, like Sakina and Kaide said, it's a learning journey for everyone here. And no one is an island of knowledge. As much as if you have years of experience, you'll be shocked that someone that just joined the industry in 1 year, you'll be able to tap something from their knowledge. So it's been a great time here today, and hope to see us here again next week.
Thank you very much, every one of you, and see you in the group. And the next session we are having, students, please remember, these ones are community meetings. The next one is Saturday, which is not a community meeting. That one is a live project where we read, we come here, we share our screen, we read what the project is going to be about, the aim, blah, 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 blah. It's similar to this, only that this time around, you might be working in smaller groups, not just everybody in the group. You might just be in groups of 2 or 3, not 6 people. And you are, basically trying to solve this on your own, and not on your own, like in smaller groups of 2 or 3, and you're working still under the same time, but it's not Sunday community meeting. Please take note of that. There's no Sunday community meeting. It is live workshops, like the workshop live projects on Saturday, and the time is, of course, on your schedule, your calendar. Okay. Bye, everyone. Have an amazing week ahead, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you so much.